But if there aren't listeners, well, you don't have a story. So this is really appreciative. This as an audience, we give the best attention human beings can give, and that's great for storytellers, and it's really appreciated. And so right now, let's welcome up our first storyteller in this part of the evening, Renee Farrar. Let's welcome up Renee.
What I'm going to share with you this evening in my reading are events that are also true, but I wanted to say that because some of you, when I start reading, will think I've embellished on some of these things, and there's no embellishment. The other thing is, my name is Renee Farrar, but these events took place in another part of my life, so I am Renee Dixon at that time, and the name Farrar is because I've remarried, not to protect the innocent in here. And the piece is called Master Scout. Guilt is why I became a Girl Scout leader. Convinced by what appeared to be a well-documented magazine article on child psychology, if I, as a working mother, did not find an ongoing quality time activity with my 6-year-old immediately, she was headed for a life of juvenile delinquency. Of the 26 deviant personality traits listed in the reading, Anna was already exhibiting 2. Thus, I selected scouting as the answer to my plight. I figured, how difficult could it be to do this? One does a few crafts, sings Michael Row Your Boat Ashore, does some hikes, and maybe one camping overnight. Boy, did I learn quickly, on my honor. I had no idea that Girl Scouting was an entrenched culture. Mrs. Dixon, I called your troop number at Girl Scout Zoo Camp's morning flagpole raising today. I called it loud and I called it clear. Troop 1740 I called. That is your number, I believe, Mrs. Dixon? I visualized hundreds of straight rows of little scout troops, their identification numbers emblazoned across their camp uniforms in bright green numbers, waiting. I even had Scout Jones hand me the large megaphone to be sure you heard us. Troop 1740 I called so loudly it disturbed the lions. Your troop did not respond. I know, Scott Adams. We just had some carpool switching to do this morning because one mother had to take her crippled grandmother to the emergency room. Oh, God, forgive me, I'd lied to a scoutmaster. I understand, Mrs. Dixon, but please keep in mind that tomorrow your troop is responsible for the opening ceremony. I understand that you and your co-leader are not well versed in the flag procedures, and that is why I am most concerned that you and your girls did not get to see this morning's presentation by Troop 1657. It was an inspiring symbol of Girl Scout traditions. Please be prepared. I promise. On my honor, we will do our best. I smile weakly. So she has heard Melinda, my co-leader, and I are not well versed in Scout rituals. I'm not surprised. My troop was legendary. The first tarnish of our reputation was at a community Scout function known as Thinking Day. Each troop was responsible for setting up a display about a particular international country. The guidelines didn't say much more than that except date and time. I figured this was a snap. I lived for 2 years in Brazil and had in my possession a soapstone toucan, a framed batik of samba dancers, and some photographs the girls could use for reports on poster boards. On my honor, I had no idea. Walking into the Sharonville Elementary gym, the visitor is overwhelmed by a sense of a papier-mâché World's Fair. A head of a red and gold Chinese dragon looms lifelike over the entrance. Giant tissue tropical flowers hang suspended from ceiling crossbars. There's a straw African hut, a styrofoam igloo, and an 8-foot chicken wire Eiffel Tower surrounded by cotton ball French poodles. Draped over all of the tables but one is a hand-stitched or brightly painted replica of a country's flag. At each table but one, scouts scurry to serve up tiny international hors d'oeuvres, tacos, fondue, egg rolls. Tantalizing smells mingle with the sounds of food being sizzled, popped, crunched, and poured. This, to my utter humiliation, is Girl Scout Thinking Day. It was, however, the cookie incident that cemented my less than stellar reputation as a Scout leader. The largest endeavor of any Girl Scout year is the selling of Girl Scout cookies. Every year in December, promotional cookie packets are sent via the national cookie chairman, the regional cookie chairman, the district cookie chairman, the community cookie chairman, to the cookie mom. These stuffed packets explain the rules and selling procedures for cookie sales during the February cookie drive. What do you mean I've been turned into the cookie committee? Who the hell are they? I knew who they were. Who was I kidding? They were women who, dragging their daughters in dog sleds if they had to, traipsed through wind, sleet, and snow, going where no mailman would ever venture to sell Thin Mints, Tagalongs, Samoas, Do-si-dos, and lemon chalet creams. The rules and procedures said you could not begin selling cookies until Saturday, scolded Melinda. The girls didn't. We gave them strict instructions. They didn't, Melinda hesitated, but you did. Your name was brought before the cookie committee for selling 35 boxes of cookies at work last Thursday. I was stunned. I had taken the list to school and had casually mentioned to some of my coworkers that if they did not have a scout in their neighborhood and wanted cookies, they could sign with me. I took the list for one blasted day. Okay, Melinda, okay, so tell me, who turned me into the cookie godfathers? What spy saw me at 6:00 a.m. in the morning take that little sheet, sneak off to work so I could undermine every Girl Scout troop in the entire city of Cincinnati, Ohio? Huh? Who turned me into the cookie committee? Who narked? Your daughter. What? Anna gave your babysitter the information. Mrs. Steiner is the leader of Troop 748. My God, turned in by my own child and her babysitter. On my honor, I will not kill Mrs. Steiner. Such was my reputation. My troop did not make it to the zoo camp flagpole ceremony the next morning. Heaven knows I did try. When Annie Heck announced from the back seat of my car that she had to regurgitate her morning oatmeal, I knew I had no time to explain to her that Scoutmaster Adams would not be sympathetic and would probably say a scout never throws up. So Annie threw up all over the car and the other scouts riding with me. How strange we must have looked speeding down I-71, a crazed scout leader and 4 screaming little girls trying to claw their way out of oatmeal. We reached the zoo parking lot. I dragged the girls out of the car, threw a blanket over the mess in the hot beating sun, locked the car door, and headed for the flagpole. We were too late. My shrink said I had to get beyond the guilt. Either I had to confront the scout women and their zillion badges to accept me for who I was, a flawed scout leader, or just quit. I was almost at the quitting point until the night of the tornado and Megan Mokes. Predicted bad weather moved our backyard camp out into a camp inn. Quick, girls, into the basement now. Scoutmaster Dixon throws open the basement door and began shoving 14 little girls down the stairs, though she is acutely aware of the fact that the basement had flooded 4 days ago and still has not been cleaned up. Mr. Dixon, this is the husband of Scoutmaster Dixon, he snaps around at the sound of her commanding voice. Yes, ma'am. We must keep these children dry. We have no idea how long we'll be down here. Find whatever you can down here to cover the floor. Use the couch, crate, turn over the storage cabin. Put the blankets on. Arr, arr. Scoutmaster Dixon, Melissa Wiley speaks with tears. Are we going to die? Be brave, little one. We will be okay. Crash, bang, crash. Lightning and thunder, and more lightning seems to hurl itself against the house. The lights go out. The girls all scream. Ah! Tamara, Amber, Jessica, All of you, get a hold of yourselves. Act like brave scouts. Those of you with scout flashlights, turn them on now. 5 flashlights, come on. Mom, we left Minnie upstairs. That's the Dixon dog. They can all hear the 60-mile-an-hour wind outside the house. I'm going to get Minnie, says Scoutmaster Dixon. You're my last page, though.